Wave 3 listens. Elder advisors, if you have a senior in your life, a senior loved one, and they're getting ready to transition into a senior facility, there's a lot that goes into that. Financial planning, estate planning, to protect their assets, all of that balled into one, and you want someone who's compassionate about it. You want a team of professionals. You have that with Elder Advisors. With me now is Larry Weiss, and he is the man on top there with Elder Advisors. Don't go broke in a nursing home.
Don't do it, John.
Don't go broke.
Don't go broke in a nursing home, John. Stop it. You don't have to.
You don't have to. For those who have not seen you on the show, you're in for a real treat, for one.
Hello, Louisville.
But number two, tell them a little bit about what you do, exactly what you do.
Well, first of all, I have a passion for what I do. I'm truly blessed. I'm having the time of my life. I've been doing this 23 years. I just got to turn 56 years old last Friday. Full head of hair, little accents of color, but I'm loving life. I'm having fun. I work past 5 o'clock. I take people's phone calls on the weekends. I've got a great team that works with me. But for the viewers that haven't really tuned in to catch Elder Advisors, and first of all, thank you for having me back. Wait a minute, Tammy, the producer. Tammy, I don't have time to sing 790 bottles of beer on the wall right now. No, maybe later. Thank you, Tammy. Anyway, back to the show, Tammy. What we do in a nutshell is we help families transition their loved ones from their homes, John, to assisted living or long-term care. If they're veterans or spouse of veterans, help them qualify for benefits using financial and legal strategies to protect their assets so they don't go broke in a nursing home. We do the financial component. There's almost always a legal component, and that's where Steve Langdon at McNeely Stevenson does a great job of carrying the ball across the goal line to score for the families, but we have to get it ready for Steve, and I think Denise and Steve are going to be out here on Friday with you promoting and talking about the fact that we have our workshops coming up next week. We do the monthly workshops, Don't Go Broke in Nursing Home. Thank you, Tammy, for reminding me. Monday, 6 o'clock at the 4 Points by Sheraton on Crenton Drive, and then, of course, Tuesday morning, 10 a.m. at the Hampton Inn in Clarksville on Broadway across from Outback Steakhouse. So we do those once a month, and it gives families an opportunity to really understand what it is. But we do help families protect their assets so they don't go broke in a nursing home, because they don't. Because what's so important to understand is for husbands and wives, there is, as Steve calls, special exceptions where we can protect pretty much all of the assets. They don't have to spend everything down. They don't have to do all that silly stuff. And for singles, we can protect half the assets. Well, that's 100% more than most people think they can keep, because most people, just from talking to their neighbors, well-intentioned they may be, or their brother in Arkansas that went through this 5 years ago, you don't have to spend everything down. There are strategies developed to protect those assets so they don't go broke in a nursing home.
Larry, whenever you're on, it's somewhat of an educational experience for me, because I didn't realize how much was involved with estate planning, financial planning, you know, the legal side of it, and also protecting the assets that you spoke of, which may be the most important.
Right.
You have this thing, and I want to ask you about this, because here it goes again, I'm going to learn something. The $9,100 promise. What is the $9,100 promise?
Well, I met with a family last night, and at 5 o'clock, because I can assure you on the legal component, the attorneys are out of the office by 3 o'clock. But a lot of it's financial. It's hand-holding. I give everybody my cell number. Once they become clients, they have everybody's phone number. Because typically when you get a goofy letter from the state, it's on a Saturday afternoon. And it wigs people out. It wears them out. What do I do? What do I do? So they call us. We kind of calm them down, get them through to Monday. But what happened last night was we had a family come in. Three of the siblings were there. Mom was there. And Dad is at a community right now in rehab. And what we do is we protect assets to help qualify for benefits, but more importantly, keep some money back for a rainy day, because once Dad does spend down to that $2,000 threshold, there's no money left. So now what do we do for money for hearing aids, eyeglasses, TV remotes? Now they've got to call Greg in Florida and say, hey, Greg, I need you to cough up $300. That's never a good phone call. So we develop strategies to park money so the families don't have to do that, because what we're doing is ensuring Mom and Dad's needs are met. But what happens is not every community in Kentucky and it will allow a family to transition to Medicaid. They are private pay all the way. All the way. Some will tell you, well, we will transition to Medicaid, but it's under their control. They're going to ensure that that family spends their $340,000 there, and then maybe we can work out a bed for you. Most will allow families to transition, whether it's 1 month, 3 months, or 6 months. So one of the most difficult things for families at the beginning is placement, which is what do we do with Mom? She's in the nursing home. It's not a safe environment for her to go home. So back to my family last night. They love the community Dad is at. And they said, well, they all but promise, I'm going to get a little asterisk next to that, that Dad can stay here on Medicaid. And I know the facility. Denise knows all the business office people. And I said, really? And I said, did they guarantee you and look you in the eye that, because they're paying $9,100 a month. That's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money.
That's a high end, $9,100 a month private pay. And there's modest assets. And I said, did they look you in the eye and guarantee you that that $9,100 promise is on October 1, Dad can transition to Medicaid? And then the hedging began, through no fault of the family. Well, they said Dad's at the top of the list. And I said, Dad and 40 cents will buy you an old cup of coffee, because that doesn't mean anything. And more than once, I've had to move families from that facility to another facility that would transition to Medicaid. So, and that's something that I've only learned doing this for 23 years, is families really get burned. And what happens is they're at the hospital, because the hospital certainly wants to take care of Mom, get her stabilized, get her infection down, fix her broken leg, stuff like that. But then they need the bed, so they need to discharge her to rehab. What facility they're at, they have no interest in that. They need Mom out. Well, what happens is Medicare will typically rehab for 20 days at 100%. Because sometimes you'll hear, well, they'll pay for 100 days. Well, they may. They'll typically pay 100% of the first 20. The remaining 80 days they may or may not cover, depending if Mom is showing progress, both physically and mentally, for the rehab. So what happens is the families will call me, and much like this property, well, Dad's at ABC property. And I'm kind of like, ooh. Because what happens is they're cherry picking. The facility will take that Medicare reimbursement at the full rate. But if Medicare stops after day 20, the family's on the hook for day 21 because they don't have a Medicaid bed. Right now, they don't have one. Well, no one wants to move Dad on day 21, so what do? They write a check.
They agree.
They're stuck. So if I can get to the families ahead of time, what I try to do is say, you know what, why don't you consider XYZ PDQ, apples, peaches, and cream facility, because they will transition, because we really don't want to have to move Mom more than once if we can avoid it. Sometimes we have to, and we'll deal with that. But that's where when the family told me, and there's such modest assets, they said, well, we've got enough money to pay through January. We're willing to wait until January for that bed to become available. And I said, well, let's assume that January 1 that bed becomes available. You just made Mom broke. Because Mom is still at home, and she's doing okay, but then they're completely broke. They put all their eggs in that basket of that $9,100 promise that may or may not come through. And this skill set that I'm talking about is nothing families are aware of. They don't know. They don't know to think about it. It's not the hospital's job. Their job is to fix the person, get them stabilized so they can transport to rehab. But it's a business as well. Sure. It's a business as well. And I don't know if I'm going to see the family or not, because I gave them hard love. I said, this is really tough. Yeah. I was extremely honest, because I could have, just blown a lot of smoke, and I can do it and do this and do that, and not spent time on the $9,100 promise to make the sale. There, I said it. Make the sale. Do the close, whatever. But it's not helping the family. And then I guarantee you, the family's going to be calling me next week, hey, you said this would work. Even if I didn't say it, they're going to say I said it, and I'd rather not get the deal, because, sometimes you're better off not getting the deal, because of all the different moving parts that go with it. I'm kind of like, you know what? I think I'd rather let someone else have it. And that's the problem with the $9,100 promise, is it may not be kept, much less fulfilled.
See, the advantage to elder advisors, this is what I find interesting, not only your team of experts, but I think the compassion, which I think is evident and I believe is genuine, but also the experience, because you know how these guys operate.
I know what's coming.
You know what's coming. Like you said, I've been there enough to know, and I'm the same way, like these families that you're referring to. I'm going to say, I don't know. I've never been in this situation, and most people have not.
Well, and then they said, we'll say the front business office lady's name was Agnes, which it's not. But they said, well, Agnes said they can file for Medicaid, that they really don't like it when we go off and talk to the attorney or the financial people. And I said, I can appreciate that. But what that means, and again, the family does not appreciate this, what that means is they're going to let the family spend down at how much? $9,100. Go broke. And then they'll file the application, and let's hope they get Medicaid. But the problem was the family also had 2 insurance policies that had cash value each of approximately $5,000. Well, the most that Dad can have and qualifies $2,000. So he's already over-resourced by $8,000. And I said, I guarantee you, Agnes, who would say, well, you don't need to engage elder advisors, or Steve Langdon, McNeely Steve, said, we'll do the Medicaid. After they left all the money with the nursing home, and then what the family doesn't fully appreciate is, let's say that it's all done, the nursing home says, we're ready to file for Medicaid December 1st. It usually takes a month or 2 to respond. Well, I can tell you right now, of course I kind of exposed the problem with the life insurance is, what's going to happen is they're going to get denied in January. because Dad is over-resourced because he had 2 insurance policies that had cash value that count over that. Well, now they went broke because they were trying to get that promise of $9,100 a month, right? Well, now they're way behind the 8 ball because they were denied because Dad's over-resourced on the life insurance. They have got to come up with $9,100 for December, $9,100 for January, and I guarantee $1 to donuts, $9,100 February, because there's no way they're going to get that insurance moved in 2 weeks prior to February 1st.
Wow.
So that's what I told the family, and it was some hard love, and I'm much more animated talking to you and to the audience in Louisville right now because I'm worked up about it. So I know it's hard to believe, I was dialed back with the family, but everything I'm relaying to you and to the viewing audience in Louisville is what I said to the family, just not with the energy and the compassion because I'm being respectful. I'm trying not to, I'm not trying to upset the family. My frustration is with the facility.
Right.
That's where I'm really irritated with. Well, it's because it's disingenuous to the family.
Very emotional time. I want tough love. I want straight answers because obviously the emotions are tied to the senior loved one and also protecting assets. And I want someone who's going to shoot me straight. And you're not going to get that from a lot of these facilities.
Oh, absolutely not. No, they'll take the money. And then, I'm sorry, the Medicare days ran up. How are you going to pay for next month? Well, get your credit card out. It's a business.
Yep, I understand.
It's a business.
Okay, coming up here, we talked about elder advisors and their team of professionals. You're going to meet one of those professionals. If you would, tell me a little bit about our next guest.
Jeffrey Hurst. I have a huge man crush on Jeffrey Hurst at Remax Properties East. Is that right?
Yeah.
That is right. Remax Properties East. And, you know, everybody says, some people say they have regrets, some don't. I do have a regret I didn't meet Jeff Hurst sooner because he does a phenomenal job of taking care of my clients and more often than not, taking lemons and turning it into lemonade for clients to protect assets when it comes to real estate.
All right, you'll meet Jeff next. Again, one of the team members of Elder Advisors. Don't go broke in a nursing home. We'll tell you more great information, critical information if you're in that situation with Elder Advisors and Larry Weiss. We'll be right back.